Hello, welcome to our yoga practice for today. You can come on in, grab your mat. We're going to get started in Child's Pose. So you'll bring your big toes to touch, as I'm demonstrating here, behind you. Spread your knees as far as the mat, as wide as the mat, or as whatever feels comfortable for you. And sit down towards your heels. Bring your arms out in front of you and press your palms down into your mat space. Just take some deep breaths here. Try to sit your bottom towards your heels and just relax. Inhale through your nose, exhale through your mouth. Deep breaths. Just take a minute to just really congratulate yourself for coming to your mat today and taking some time to practice. Big ups to you. When you are ready, you can come into tabletop position. So you're going to stack your shoulders over your wrists and your hips are aligned over your knees. And we'll begin to take our cats and our cows here. Stay connected to your breath and continue to just do deep inhales and exhales. Try to keep your shoulders away from your ears. So this is cat and coming up into cow. And now you can just do what you need to do for your body. You can just circle out your head, shake your head yes and no. Shake away anything that you no longer need and release it with love. Shake yes to everything that you are manifesting and bringing into your life. And now you want to just tuck your toes and send your body up into downward facing dog or pyramid pose. So your hips are coming up and back. You're pressing down into your palms here. Inhale, look up towards your mat. And come into Ragdoll Pose. So you're going to take a deep bend in your knees. And you're going to just hang your torso over the front of your body. Allow your stomach to really just touch your knees or touch your thighs, I should say. You can bind your elbows. Take a bind at your elbows. So take your hands and grab your opposite elbows, or you can just release them down in front of you, your arms. Now you're going to toe heel your feet together and just kind of release your body and let your torso hang over towards the floor. This is really good for scoliosis too. I have scoliosis from a accident that I had in my earlier teenage years. So you'll roll up one vertebrae at a time and you're going to come to a standing position. You're going to bring your palms to touch in front of you, and we're going to set the intention for class today. You can lower your gaze or close your eyes and take some deep breaths here. And I just want to say again, thank you for coming to your mat today. Thank you for giving yourself time to just be still, be in the moment. And our intention for class today is just inner peace. So inhale inner peace and exhale anything else that doesn't belong in your life. Now you can raise your arms up into mountain pose. Really release your shoulders down into their sockets. Take a deep breath here. Ground your feet into the mat. Tighten your core, your glutes. Bring your palms in again, and we're going to exhale into our forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. And in our halfway lift, your hands should be on your shins. I'm just trying to demonstrate that your back is it's like in a flat back. And really tuck your core in. Really bring your ribs in, tighten your ribs, or knit your stomach together, however you want to say it. And try to make sure that your weight is not on the backs of your heels, but more so over your toes. So this is your halfway lift. Exhale, high plank. So you're going to bring your hands down, step your feet back. You're going to come into a high plank, bend at a 90-degree angle, and come down into upward dog. And then tuck your toes and come back into pyramid or downward facing dog. Inhale, gaze forward. Exhale, step your feet up to the top of the mat and come on up to standing. Okay, so I'm preparing to demonstrate Chaturanga for you all. I'm just trying to adjust my mat to make sure that I am in the camera properly. Chaturanga is basically, it's a transition. It's the way we come from standing to the floor. And when we do that, we incorporate the high plank to the low plank, and then we come up into upward dog. Then we move into the downward facing dog or the comedic pyramid. So I'm going to demonstrate Chaturanga for you. I'm just trying to make sure that I have the mat properly. All right. So we're going to begin. We'll begin from a forward fold and we'll come up into a halfway lift. So just making sure that I am in the camera. So here's our forward fold. We're over. That's the halfway lift. Flat back. We're going to bring our hands down to the mat, step our feet back 1 foot at a time into a high plank position. So there's 3 variations of Chaturanga. This is the first one. We're going to bend our elbows at 90 degrees and come down into that low plank. And I did it pretty quickly. And then we're going to come up into an upward facing dog and then push our hips back into the downward facing dog. So we'll do that again. So that was the first variation. You're going to go from a high plank to a low plank. This is the second. Forward fold, inhale, halfway lift. And then we're going to do exhale, high plank. Bring our hands down, step our feet back. And then we're going to come down to our knees. So this is the second variation. You can come down to your knees. And then you're going to tuck your feet so that your toes are touching the top of the mat. And you're going to come up into an upward facing dog and push back into a downward facing dog or a pyramid. And then inhale, look forward, step to the top of the mat. All right, and this is the third variation. So we're at the top of the mat. We're in forward fold. Exhale, inhale, halfway lift. And then exhale, Chaturanga. So we're going to bring our hands down to the mat, step our feet back into a high plank. And this time you're going to stay in a high plank. You're not going to come down to your knees or into that low plank. So this is the third variation. This is the advanced or most difficult one. And then we're going to come straight into pyramid or downward facing dog, Inhale, gaze forward, step to the top of the mat. All right. So I will meet you back in downward facing dog. So we're going to begin there. All right. And we're going to begin to flow through our Sun A. So we're just going to do the same thing over without stopping. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. We'll do this twice. Exhale, step back into your high plank, into the low plank. Inhale, upward facing dog, shoulders down. Exhale, push back with your hips up, downward facing dog or pyramid. Inhale, gaze forward. Exhale, step to the top of the mat. Halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Release the breath. Inhale, halfway lift. Make sure your feet are positioned correctly. And then we're going to come down into high plank. I'm demonstrating the knees variation one. Chaturanga with the knees. And then we're going to come into our upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, gaze forward. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, chaturanga. Oh, sorry. Inhale, halfway lift. Now exhale, chaturanga, high plank. And we're going to come into upward facing dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. Deep breaths here. Inhale, gaze forward. Exhale, forward fold. And then we'll come right up. Make sure you roll up through your spine. Okay, take a few seconds to towel off and get some water if needed. And I'm going to meet you back into downward facing dog when you're ready. So you can just come straight into it, or you can start into the in the tabletop position here as I'm demonstrating. You want to make sure that the inside of your elbow creases and the inside of your arm are lined up with your thumbs, and that way your thumb fingers, and that way all of that weight that you're pressing here into the mat is going into that fleshy part underneath your thumb. Okay, so we're already up into our halfway lift. Forward fold. We're going to come up into our chair pose. You're going to sit back. Squeeze your inner thighs together. Bring your arms up above your head. Tighten your core. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, chaturanga, your way, however you want to. I went straight into the plank and then pushed back into well, I did, but then I was like, oh, wait a minute. But you can go straight into the downward dog or the pyramid. So here I'm just going to demonstrate coming into the low plank and then into upward facing dog and then pushing back into downward facing dog or your pyramid. So here we're going to lift our right leg up and step through. We're into our sun B now. And we're going to come into our warrior 2 pose. So you're really letting that front leg that's bent, you're really leaning your weight towards that front leg, but making sure that your knee doesn't go over your toe. We went into our extended side angle, into our reverse warrior. And feel free to slow down the video or rewind it if you need to. Go at your own pace. Now we're going to do our left leg and bring it through into that lunge. Swing your arms back into that warrior 2. Come down into your extended side angle. And then push back into your reverse warrior. Now your back arm can be down on your leg, or you can bind it and wrap it around your waist and really push down into that front knee as I'm doing. But make sure your knee doesn't go over your toe. Windmill your arms back down into that high plank, down into that low plank, into that upward facing dog, and push back into your downward facing dog. Inhale, gaze forward. My sock is coming off. And then you're going to come up to the front of the mat into that forward fold. And then you're going to inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. And then inhale again. You're going to come up into your chair pose. Really try to sit back as if you're sitting in a chair. This is a really tough position because your knees are really developing a lot of strength in your legs by doing that. So if your legs are not that strong right now, don't worry about it. Just do what feels comfortable, and it will get a lot better. You will be able to descend back even more into that chair pose. So I'm demonstrating the second variation of Chaturanga, coming down onto your knees, into that upward facing dog, and then exhaling into that pyramid or downward facing dog. We're going to go through that again. Inhale your right leg high. Exhale, bring that leg through. That part is always really difficult for me. We're in our extended side angle and our reverse warrior. But yoga is really great because you can just, wherever you are, that's where you are. And you just, it's progression, and it's a building on. As you do the poses, you'll get a lot stronger. And so that's what's really important. All right. Inhale. Make sure you're breathing. And exhale. Let it all go. Deep breath. And then inhale that left leg high. Step it through. Into that lunge. And now into that warrior 2. And down into the extended side angle. And inhale up into the reverse warrior. And just really feel that stretch in that inner thigh there. It feels really good. And I always do that extra lift of the foot, because sometimes you feel like you need to just release that. But it's optional there. And now we're going to come down to our knees, and we've done our Sun A and Sun B. Now you're going to come back down onto your mat and slowly just roll down through your spine onto your back. And you're going to come into a happy baby pose. So both legs are going to lift up. I'm trying to figure out the best way to do this to show you. There we go. And almost there at least. And so your knees are bent. Your thighs are really coming into your chest, and you're just really releasing your legs. You're going to grab onto your feet or your ankles or your shins, wherever you can reach. And just really just let them just let go. You can stretch out each side. And then you can stretch out both sides at the same time if you want. And just really release that tension. This is a good hip mobility stretch too. It really opens up the hip socket. You can really feel it in there. And just really take your time here. Just really breathe through this, because this feels really good, and it's a really great relaxing pose. So if you're holding any tension in your back or in your legs or in your hips, this is a really good pose to just, after a long day, lay down and just get into happy baby pose. And when you're ready, you can come out of it. And when you're ready, you're going to come back down to your back and just extend your legs long, and just let your arms just rest beside of you. You can keep your palms up if you want, if you're looking to receive something, or you're asking the universe, God, the Most High, whatever you call it. If you're asking to receive something, you can keep your palms up. If you really just want to ground yourself, put your palms down. And this is our resting pose, or Savasana, or also the mummy pose. And this is usually how you end a yoga class. We didn't do a full yoga class this time, but we'll be doing the second half of it next week. And here you just want to really just take some time to just release and let go and rest and allow your body to just be after doing a lot of work, a lot of strenuous physical exercise. You worked hard, you did a good job. Whatever you did or didn't do is totally fine. And that's why I really love yoga, because it's so rewarding in that way. It just doesn't question the process. It is what it is. And so just allow your body to rest. Take some deep breaths here. A lot of people fall asleep here. Sometimes they cry. It's just really relaxing. And here you're gonna, whenever you're ready, you're gonna bring your body back into the space. Move your hands and your fingers. Reach your arms up as if you're waking up in the morning. And when you're ready, you're gonna come into a lotus position. And we're just gonna sit here in a lotus position. You can bring your hands to your heart, or you can place them on your legs, whichever is more comfortable for you. You can close your eyes if needed. Take a deep breath in and release it. And again, thank you all so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you being here with me and taking the time to practice if you did. Namaste to all of you. Peace, love, and light.